Good afternoon once more, educators. I want to welcome you to lecture 5 of our Mastering WordPress course. So far, we've covered several things. In the interest of time, I will not review. But for the previous lecture, we tried to look at layout, color, typography. We were successful. We managed to add at least some fonts. If you go to styles here under editor, I also have my fonts. I chose to use Roboto Condensed as the one for the headings and Roboto as the one for the body. And then I also try to manage my colors. So far, my color palette is having these colors, and this is my front end of the website. The front end is looking like this. Now, when we install a theme, most of the themes come with the front page, which we render to be the home page. So it is very easy for us to edit the header, edit this content on this page, because really they are already there's a structure suggested by the theme builder with even dummy content. What we have to do is click edit site and then probably proceed to edit that content accordingly. There is big challenge which normally comes when you are creating content on other pages. Say you want to add content on the About Us, you want to add content on the gallery, you want to add content on contact among other pages. Even when you try to research, you may find out or summarize the content you want to add to those pages. But the problem generally comes as the structure. How do I create a good structure? Even if I try to click on edit page, let me just demonstrate. If I click edit page here, and I want to begin adding the blocks, there are many blocks here, a paragraph heading. So we become stuck in creating an effective structure that is to properly help us organize the content. Now, even when this course was pure WordPress, I chose to at least include something about effective planning. So planning core content structure involves use of wireframe tools. Besides using wireframe tools, you may benchmark some sites and probably find out inspirational ways how people have designed. That means you take identity of different pages that look similar to what you want to design, or sites that look similar to what you want to design, and you carefully analyze how somebody has organized the about page, maybe how somebody has organized the contact page, and so forth, building from research. Besides research, wireframe tools come in, because from these wireframe tools, we now proceed to implement designs. Now, what are wireframe tools? I'll take less than 5 minutes to go over this theory, but I've prepared some resources as usual to explain to you what wireframe tool means, probably terms used in wireframe, and so forth. For this presentation, I define wireframe as low fidelity sketches or digital blueprints outlining a site's layout, navigation, and content placement without colors and image. In other words, you try to visualize a sketch, you craft a sketch, how your site or how your content is going to be organized on that very particular page. We're calling it a blueprint. You see, however powerful an engineer is, he cannot just probably get bricks and they start constructing. They normally have to make an architectural plan. Then now the foreman and other team will use that to implement whatever that building is supposed to have. So even us in web development, we need to like sketch, come up with a clear layout, how content is going to be structured. Wireframing helps us to visualize like content before we start coding or we start using the blocks to build. It's very essential because it helps us to understand which component are we going to use, which element are you going to use. Are you using a row? Are you using columns? Mm-hmm. How much space do you need? All that is determined during wireframing. I've prepared more additional notes under wireframe just for you, those who will be interested. There are several tools that you can use. I have Figma here. Next month, I'll have a course about Figma, how we can use it for UI and UX. Those who will be interested will enroll. But Figma is very important. Even in this demonstration, I'll be showing you how we can use Figma. Besides Figma, we have Adobe XD. We also have Sketch, a popular design for creating wireframes, primarily for those who are using Mac operating systems. I've originally used Balsamiq to teach my senior 4 students some basics of wireframing because of its simplicity. When I was teaching web development, I first gave orientation to learners how they can first do some sketch. You can also use a paper. You pick a paper, you visit the websites of your preference, those that you have looked at for benchmarking, and then you carefully sketch on paper how you want the design to look like, how you want the website to be. So these are, among others, some of the tools we can use for wireframing. For almost all these wireframe, there is ease in using them. They are very user friendly. They allow us to focus on structure, not how buttons or not how content. Most of the wireframes, the sketches, don't explain how something will function, but rather how we are going to organize the blocks and content on given pages. Figma, that I'll be showing you, allows us to collaborate. Like maybe there's a team of people you want to work with in composing or making this structure, you can collaborate using Figma. Of course, interactivity, we can use prototypes. Figma as a prototype, as a tool that allow us to create interactive wireframes, simulating navigation. Like when you've designed something, Figma can allow us through the tool called prototype to test how something will look like. When a person clicks on a button, it takes him to another page you have created. But not as a website, but just simply to show how something will work. Most of them can allow you to export the files created for either presentation to the client or sharing amongst your colleagues for feedback. That is key common element which exists. So in this lecture today, I will be demonstrating with you how we can use Figma for just a shorter time. There are many tools, many components to learn, but at least just the basics and probably how we can implement our idea. Now, when you have finished with your wireframe, you need to implement it in WordPress. So later we'll have to go through the process of implementation, how it is. So I'm going to end my show here and go back to this dashboard accordingly. So on my dashboard, if you have been following, I chose to create a website called Reading Room. This Reading Room, according to me, is a platform for offering CBC summaries, learning resources, and faith-based reflections. So far, we have at least a sketch on the home page, but we need to see how we can structure the information on about. I already did some research and prepared the content I would love to be on the About Us page. I would love to put there who we are, our mission, our vision, what we do, our values. These are some of the contents I've thought very important. But I cannot just go to edit site, rather edit page, and probably start creating the blocks. I need to visualize a good structure, how I'm going to organize that content. To do that, we are going to use Figma as a tool. For starters, you need to create an account. So I'm going to open my browser, create a new tab, and write Figma. Okay, Figma is an online tool. That means you need internet at all times. However, it has a web-based application and it has a downloadable desktop application. In any case, for either the web-based or the desktop, you need to create an account on Figma. So our starting point, which I expect you later to also as well try out, is to visit figma.com. The URL will be in your notes. I can just simply share some link in the chat. Perhaps as it loads, I wanted to get quick feedback. Can I see those who have used Figma put up their hands? Please hit the reaction button and put up your hand. Any other person here who has used Figma to do some serious work, you put up your hand. Okay. All right. So first thing, when you visit figma.com, you will have to, because this is the landing page for figma.com. Because I am using it for the very first time, the recommendation of one is to log in. If you're using your laptop and you're already logged in using your browser, you can just click continue as with your Gmail, or like you select login with your Google account, which is already logged in. This is the same procedure I know you have used to log in any account. But of course, for the first time, when you click sign in, they'll ask you to sign up. And then later you can proceed to continue with the Google account. So this is how the web-based version look like. You work within the web browser. Besides the web-based version, I've talked about the downloadable software. So if I just searched for Figma in Google, I searched for Figma. Among the search results is the download. So in case you want to download it to your computer, I would recommend you click on download. And on that page, you scroll a little bit. There is a desktop app for Mac operating system, desktop app for Windows, and other. There's even a mobile app, but the mobile app, we only use it to view what we have designed. We don't use it to design. It helps us in most cases when we are presenting the prototype or you're presenting the work to your client. So that is the first assignment. The second assignment, first assignment was you create an account on Figma. Second assignment would be you download the desktop app and install it like you install any program. Fortunately for me, I've already downloaded my application and installed it. This is how the desktop application look like. I love working with the desktops and the applications if they exist for convenience. And I would also recommend you do the same thing. So once you open the application, they will ask you to sign in still. For me, I'm already signed in. That's why if you look at the top left corner here, there's my picture together with my account name. This is my account. I can log out, I can add account. So you also have something like this. Well, There are some features to illustrate to you here. Once you logged in Figma, you will have to navigate to home. By default, it will of course show you the home unless something else is created. For me, I already created something here that probably I would be using later. But our task is to see how we can create something like this. This is an example of a wireframe. There are two types of wireframe. We have a wireframe which is low fidelity and then a wireframe which is high fidelity. I've prepared notes to give you all the different terms we use. One of it is wireframe. Another term is mockup. Wireframe, I'll say it's a basic low fidelity representation of a website. In other words, a wireframe is a sketch you make illustrating how your structure of the website is going to look like. Now, once you're done with the wireframe, you now have to make a mockup. A mockup is a high fidelity. The other name for wireframe is a low fidelity representation. So a mockup is still a wireframe, but this one incorporates visual elements. There's coloring, there are real images, there's real content to illustrate how something is really going to look like. For low fidelity, we just make a sketch. And there are other terms here. I know you'll have these notes I'll ask you to read through, probably if you wish to have a comprehensive understanding. So how do you get started? Because when you open your Figma window, you'll not have what I am having right now. For you, just where there's home here, you'll have to click on project to get started. No, you'll have to select either to begin from, because in your recents, you totally have nothing. So above there's design, there's figure, slides, bars, site, and make. Among all these ones, you'll click on design. So once you click on design, they will open for you a blank page. There are a few things to show you on the blank page. Of course, there are rulers here. There's horizontal ruler, vertical ruler. Then we have our canvas where we work from. On the extreme right, rather left, we have the main menu here where you can try to go to different tools or use different tools. The name of the file, of course, once you click on design, they will create a new file and this will be untitled. It is important that you begin by titling your file. For example, I can come here, right click and rename, or I can simply double click here and put the file name. So I'm going to call my file reading room 2 because I already have something already. So besides this, there are pages. So far we have no page created. So we have file, assets, we stick with file, and on file there are pages, nothing created. On the extreme right, still I have design, prototype, and by default we're always on design. Under design, you can see there's page color. The current page color is that one, but you can change the page color. In other words, you can change the appearance of your page to suit your preference. So how do you do wireframing? At the bottom, maybe there's this menu, which is fixed there with tools. I have the move tool here. I have the frame. I have rectangle, pen, text, comment, and so forth. There's even a drop-down arrow to toggle between more tools. I believe you'll go over those tools accordingly. Now, how do we get started? To get started, you begin by clicking on frame. All the wireframes we are going to do are put in frames. On my file I've created earlier on, I have the home page as the first frame. I have another frame for about us, gallery. So these ones, we shall take them as frames. We can even choose to make them as pages, like all this is one page, and on one page for me, I'm working out all my wireframe, but at least using what? Using frames for every page. So your starting point is to click on frame. Now, when you click on frame, you are free to draw like this. But this is not good practice, because when we are doing wireframing, we can create a wireframe for a phone. You can create a wireframe from a tablet or a desktop and others, or paper. For me, I try to use unscalable. I try to use dimensions that are not these ones. But I want us to work with the desktop first. So click on frame. The shortcut is F. Proceed and click on desktop. Now, when you click on desktop, they will give you all the desktop versions. MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. Then there's this desktop version. Just click on desktop. Automatically, they will try to draw for you the desktop, or they will create for you the desktop. Begin by giving your frame a name, like we can call this one the home page. And when you draw the frame, on the extreme right still we have things like, because there are more properties or features of the frame here. Which properties do we have? First property, which is important, is the dimension or the size of the frame. So this one is 1440 by 1024. This is the width and the height. You can increase if you want. You can change the appearance of your frame. You can fill in a color. But our beginning point is to talk about layout guides, because it is important normally for you to conceptualize layouts. For layouts, there are many ways of adding layouts. You can add layouts in grids. Currently, I've clicked on grids. You can see grids are there. You can use columns, and you can use rows. For web development, we shall stick to columns because we want to understand how we can organize our content properly using the columns. These columns are just guidelines or grids to help us use our layout properly. They shouldn't worry you. Now, currently, there are 5 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can switch to the number of columns. You can put the columns you want. Every desktop has a maximum of 12. You cannot increase more than that. The standard at least are 12. But you can choose to dictate how many columns you want. You can even change the colors. You can later add the margins if you wanted to leave some space on the extreme edges. You can leave some space according to your preference. Maybe I can put 20, I can put 10, and that's all. So our starting point is hit on frame, select desktop, click under layout guide, select columns. Set the number of columns you want, either 12, 8, but of course I've told you standard is 12. Now, in between these columns, there is white space. This white space is called gutter. It really helps us to know the spacing between the columns and when we are arranging the elements. So how do we begin now wireframing after you have set up? You can still create all the frames. Maybe you are going, let's say our point of concern is about us. You can create another frame for about us. How do you create the frame? You can either duplicate this by right-clicking, select copy, and then you now come here and then you right-click and then you paste. That is one way of creating something similar. You can even just click on it, select Ctrl+C, and then also press Ctrl+V. Or you can go through the same process again. You click on frame, go select desktop, choose desktop, and then later come and click on layout. put the 12 columns, and then also choose what? Because we want the columns. We want the 12 columns with some margin of at least 10 away from the edges. So previously we named this as home. We can double click and name this as about us. So you can proceed and create all your pages. One more I'm going to create. I'm going to ignore the home. Maybe for just demo, let me leave it there. So the other way of duplicating a frame, colleagues, is you take the cursor to the frame, long press Alt key, and then drag it outside. You can name this as Contact Us. So this is desktop wireframing. We are wireframing how our site is going to look on the desktop. If you still wanted mobile, we can create another page, and then now we probably, let me call this as desktop. You can also double click on this page and call this mobile. Okay, let me first stick to desktop in the interest of time. So how do we continue to wireframe? You know very well a site consists of the header, the footer, it consists of the elements and so forth. So to create a layout or to create the sketch, we use shapes and text. So below this menu, we have frame, then the next is shape. You can click on rectangle, and then you come and draw a rectangle. That is if at all you want to have one row. In case you want to create a header, I've just drawn a shape across the entire 12 columns. And this is done in most cases when you want to have a header cutting across the entire what? The entire layout or the entire screen. So you draw a box across. Every time you draw a shape or an element, on the extreme right under design, there are properties for you to format this out. What can you format? For example, currently there is no color. I can proceed, and where there's fill, I change the color. There is a color I've just loved to use throughout the sketch. So I'll copy this color, then I'll come and paste it here. Okay. Let me remove the brush, see if it can work. Why is it not working? Hey, okay. All right, I think it had worked out here. Control V, press enter. So this is my color I would want to use. I clicked on the shape under design. Where there's fill, I pasted here my hexa code. Now I can proceed to put a label as my header. Let me first begin by making it abstract. So to add text, I click on text, then I come and click to add text, and then I type header. Once you type, they are going to look very small. So you can always double click to highlight. Again, proceed to properties here. Try to increase size accordingly. Maybe I can make it 20. You can also increase size by 20 is still small for you to see. Let me make it 36. First highlights and size here. Let me make it 40 for now. So there are some few features I want to show you here. On the extreme right where there's design, I have prototype, then I have zoom. Currently, I want to make this frame to fill my screen so that you can see what I'm doing. How do I make that frame to fill the screen? I can click the drop down arrow and I select zoom to fit. Or I can select 100%, fit 100%. That looks big. The shortcut you can always use in case you want to make this big, you can press Shift F2. Shift F2, Shift F2. Shift F2 is for like zooming the selected frame or selected item. If maybe you're working on an item and you want it to fit the entire screen, you just press on your keyboard, Shift F2. Now, this is just a sketch. Please be patient. We are going to put here our header according to the sketch. And in case I wanted to increase this header without going to font, I can click on it, go to my arrow here, click the drop down arrow, select scale, and I try to enlarge it. I'm going to make one which is abstract, then later I'll show you how to make the other ones that are probably really applicable. So currently we are not sampling how the head is going to look like. We're just making a sketch. I'm imagining you also having a paper and you are trying to conceptualize the sketch on paper. Next, you can proceed to creating other elements. Maybe you are stuck. What could you put after the header? Probably benchmark. Find out from your other friends, people whose websites look like what you want. But for my case here, still, I can proceed and again click on shape. And then I come and try to make the hello section. After I've drawn the hello section, and when you are drawing the hello section, you decide how big do you want it to be. Here, please, you are free to make any plan of your choice. Other people want to have some shape here, having an image, and then some text on the left or on the right. It is you to dictate or to decide how you're going to have that content. So in my little simple sketch, maybe I want to have a header which runs across the entire width. And then also I want to have the hello section, this main section, which at least begins from the second column, but runs the edge of the browser. Then after that, I want to fill in color. So I'm going to click on this shape I've drawn, right click, and then I select copy styles. Because there is ability for you to copy styles. You can even go always to file under edit, and then you look for copy properties. Copy styles, copy properties. Click on the shape you have drawn, right click, and then we paste styles. How do we paste styles still? You can either proceed to file, under edit, and then select paste what? Paste properties. That is to make it have the same color. I know geniuses can just right click, copy, and then go somewhere, right click, paste, for them to have a duplicate wherever they are going, as a simplified way. So in my section, maybe I'm going to also copy this header, right click, copy, come here, paste, and we're going to call this as the hello section. Now, you may also choose to desire to make this, because if you are making a home page, you can choose to make or provide some features. Because if you look at my web page here, on the home page, if I can click on the home page, home page. So I have the header here, I have the hello section, and I have somewhat features of the web page. And these features of the web page are not covering the entire 12 columns of the desktop. So I can try to resize this out, resize it to make them to be 3. So I can, when I've drawn one, I can drag one, take it the other side. How am I dragging? Of course, I told you to duplicate this element, you can longer press the Alt on your keyboard and then drag your mouse. If that is hard, right click, copy, and then try to go and what? Go and right click and paste, either way. Figma has many shortcuts and properties. After I've drawn this, I can just press Shift D. Okay. Wait a little bit here. back to design mode. So let me try to undo this. I can drag this here and then I press Shift D to duplicate. Is it Control D? I don't know why this is not working out, but either way, you've got the idea. So when you're trying to position or organize your items, please make sure the items balance. It is you to again decide in your sketch or in your plan whether you want this to be bigger, you want this to be small, you want them to be the same size according to you. You're the one to decide. So I'm going to right click on this section. Now, if I want to double click on hero section, I can press Control key and then I click on this. In most cases, when you want to select a particular element, you hold down Control key and then click on it. Otherwise, if you just click, you move the entire element. So I can click on this, move it in the middle, right click, copy, and then go and paste it wherever I want. So I'm going to double click inside. I'm going to rename this as future one. I'll highlight everything, use Control Shift greater than sign, or rather less than sign to reduce. The very shortcut used in Microsoft Word to increase size can be used here in Figma. In case you want to know the shortcuts, we'll give you here the tool to check. So how do I duplicate this? I take the pointer, drag it and put it here, drag it and put it here. To conclude here, and then we go to About Us, which is very important. I'm going to duplicate the header, and then I come and use it to make the footer at the bottom. So when you're making your wireframe, and by the way, this is going to be low fidelity because we are not using any other image or feature that enhances the design. This is simply sketch, so we can call this as low fidelity. So in case I want to duplicate this again, I click on it, hold down my Alt key, and then I try to drag this down. So I'm going to make sure that at least they are all on the same line. This is header, and then this one is footer. Okay. So probably I'm going to click on this, right click, copy, and then also paste it somewhere here. I want this one to go in the back because it is hiding my content. I can right click on it and then I say move, send backwards. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Let me undo a little bit here. So this content, I can right click on the content and then I say bring to front. Is it the color? Let me check the color. Why is it? Let's check the font color there of the item. Yeah, the font color is still white. Probably the next thing we want to try is to make sure that at least is in the front. Bring to front, bring the front, or it could be the frame. Wait, I say. So you can always expand your frame in case there are other items. Because if you look at mine, the items go over the elongates. They are more than a frame. So you're free to also make the items go over or against the frame. All right. So I want to make this the footer. Then I try to show you some elements. Okay, I pasted there. And I want it to come forward. Yes, it is forward. This one, I want it to take it back. But still, I can't see my content. Could there be something? Let's bring it here. Okay. Okay. Let me try first draw another shape here. See whether it is the one obstructing my work. Let me check here. There's also an eyedropper here. I can click on the eyedropper. I simply click on the color I want to use, and probably I put content. Why is this content staying to the back? All right, let me check here. Let me see here. Okay, just a little bit here. I'm deleting these elements I'd added. And by the way, on the extreme left here, I have this panel which shows all the elements that are on your frame or your page. For example, so far we're on the home page. On the home page, we've created the header. This is the first element, is text. I have future one, future two, future three, then I have rectangles. You can even always double click them and rename them according to your future. So later, after you have made this home page, my emphasis is going to be on the about page. And in the interest of time, I'm going to shift because we already have the home page. Literally, we are not going to. This is our home page. I just wanted to show you the logic behind wireframing the home page. When you download a theme and install it, it will normally come with the home page. So there is no worry, you're working on the home page. How do we try to wireframe the About Us page? Now, Figma comes with many tools. What I forgot to tell you is that later now when you're done designing, you can always click on design, click on your frame, and then try to remove the guides. Or you can press Ctrl G. When I press Ctrl G, I can hide guides and remove guides. I think something is happening here. Ctrl Y, Ctrl Y. What happens? Edit and do. Okay. All right. So if you made an error and come to File, Edit, undo is Ctrl Z, redo is Ctrl Y. So you can memorize these shortcuts later for your other good. So I was telling you that these guides on a frame can be hidden. How are they hidden? You can always click to hide. If you finish designing your frame and you want to output it, you can remove the guides. Even when you try to output, let me try to do this on this frame. If I click on this frame and then I come to where there's prototype and I try to preview this. If I preview it, you realize that the lines will not be there. Okay, in the preview panel, all the guides that you had initially put are not going to be there. Even later when you're exporting, you will not have the guides. So let's proceed to About Us. Go to design. I want to make the layout, rather the guides to be there. I know the big problem when using this wireframe is just creativity. For using tools, I don't think it is difficult to use tools. I want us to make something like this. For my About Us page, this is my sketch. I would want us to have a logo, rather a header. And then besides a header, I would want us to have a page title. Unfortunately, this is already implemented in a theme. Once you download a theme and install, you already have the header created by the theme builder, the person who made who built the theme. And then there is also an appropriate title selected for you together with the footer. Our main point of concern is trying to build the content in this white space. So from your design, we want to create something like this, but our point of concern is to remove this. So how did I get this? I used some research. I tried to make some research to look for reusable templates, because with Figma there are many like UX and UI designers who have created so many templates that you can use. If, let's say, you don't have time, you don't want to learn this because you have a negative attitude, you can always just go to home here. Under home, click on community. If you click on community, they will show you at least several things here in the community. There is design resources, Figma Make, plugin and widgets presentation, and then there is also websites on the extreme end. So you can click in the search on top in case you want to filter, and then you type in a website. If you're building a school, maybe you can type there school website. In case you're stuck and you don't have time to create your own wireframe, you can search school website. Now, what you're going to look here, number one, includes mockups and wireframes. I already told you mockups are already like structures or blueprint with real content or images that people have used. So there are templates, some of them are free and others are paid. You can always click on filter where there's this drop down arrow, switch between free and paid. If you want those that are totally free, you click on free. And from the free here, you will see that there are many. For example, let me click on school website here. So if I click on school website, this one is it's made by Pura. Pura addings. You're free to add some comment in case you've got it important or you found it useful. Or you can click on open in Figma. And once you open in Figma, they will load it as your own. And you can now start editing, or you can copy some elements and use. So once, of course, you see it is showing very small items. You can enlarge by holding Control and then rotate your scroll wheel. According to this sketch, somebody has already done the wireframe for you, but this is now a mock-up because it is using real content. So they have already wireframed the home page. So when you don't have time to create your own, you can just use this to implement. Why this is helpful? Because when you're designing, you'll know, here, when I'm designing a header, the header is going to be a sticky header and it's going to be a transparent header. When you're designing this, you know, this my hero section, I'll try to leave some margin. I'll leave some space on the extreme left and same right. I'm not going to make it stretch the entire window. And here you can decide to use, say, a row and probably add in 2 columns, or you can create what? A grid of 2 sections. There are many pages. When you download or select a template from the community, you'll see it's a complete website having all pages. So how am I moving the other side? On the keyboard, I long press the space bar and try to drag over accordingly to see other items. I hope you now have a starting point so I can quickly show you something as we try to use. There is one which I got very helpful, which I would feel you can also try to use. If you go back to the community, I'm going to go back home, and under the, oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Can I have feedback? Are you able to see my screen still? Are you still seeing my screen? All right, thank you. So you can return to the community under the search bar. If you're building e-commerce, search e-commerce. If you're building NGO, search NGO website. At least you'll have wireframes created by UI and UX designers, the professionals. You can toggle between free and paid to check that one. But above all, while building, let me return to this one. On the About Us page, I may try to ignore the header because the process is simple. If you look at this one, achieving it is very simple. We have at least a shape here filled with white color. There's the word logo and then words home written like that. How do you achieve that? You go to the rectangle here or press R. Click on the rectangle, draw a rectangle throughout. When you've drawn a rectangle, come and fill a color. Say, I fill in the white color in that shape. If white, because white is making it, the guides are making it invisible, I can try to choose a different color here. Let me try to go to my color drop and pick this color. I've chosen to use that color because the guide, the layout, the column guides we have put in this color. Unless I want to change them, then I can click on the frame, go back here, below down here, and change the color of the frame, the layout. So according to this sketch, I want to have a logo, home, about us, like that. You can proceed to click on text. If you're going to put a picture there instead of word, then you can draw a shape, say a rectangle. Okay, fill in some color, maybe white. Okay, just wait a little bit. The opacity is total, because normally under color, in this color selection tool, you can add a color, but also trying to choose with the opacity, or either factor in light and so forth. Let me just have to make this shape to be of another color. I click on the shape and then I try to use any other different color. If I have a picture, I can put a picture, or I can proceed to this website, which I would recommend you to use, very important. It is called Icon Finder, iconfinder.com. Iconfinder.com has millions and millions of icons. I can now search for image icon. Maybe I want to get a picture icon. Click on a picture. Of course, they are free and premium. And when you click on any icon, this pop-up will appear. We have PNG and SVG, scalable vector graphics. For using in Figma, I would recommend you select SVG, and then you can download or copy the clipboard. I'm just going to click on copy the clipboard, come back to my Figma project I'm handling, and then I just press Ctrl V to paste. Okay, I think I didn't copy. I'll go back to my website. Click on copy. Let me wait for it to copy the clipboard. You see it is still processing. Please wait. Okay. Okay, it has copied. Then I can proceed to my website, Figma, and then I paste the icon. The advantage with using SVGs, you can click on the icon and probably fill in a color. Can fill in a color. You can even double click on it and probably select a color of your choice in case you wanted to use it in that in that image. So where you want to scale this image, probably let me undo and I show you. When you want to scale this out, you can always click on it, go and click on this icon of move, choose scale. we have move and scale. The best way of scaling items is to click on scale, and then you now scale the item. So I'm going to bring the image here, and probably you should also know that when you download an icon, it will come with a frame. So you can always remove the frame from it. Let me try to do something. I try to fill in the color. I'm going to click on this image and change the properties somehow. Press Ctrl, let me press Ctrl A. There's something I did here, which is not right. So once you bring your picture, before you put in the color, double click on the picture. And once you've double clicked on the picture, go where there's fill and select a color of your choice you want to add in that very picture. Press K or try to click this select scale and now reduce. Okay, so I can now drag this, probably reduce it further. Where is it? Wait a little bit, yeah. Okay, now I can reduce. Now I can drag this out. The guides should not worry you about. I can probably scale it further and I bring it here. So later, if I remove the guide, let me click on this, go to design, and try to check here. Let me remove the, okay, this is good enough. This is coming with a color. The icon is coming with a color. Actually, it has a frame here. You can right click on it and I move it outside the selection. Okay, I think this will work out. Something is wrong here and this out. Just a little bit again. I want to find the best way of having this here. You see, every time you copy an image from Icon Finder, I placed it outside the canvas to show you something. Yeah? So every time you place an image or you copy an image from Icon Finder, you have to click on the image. And once you click on it, you drag it outside the frame. Because it normally comes with a frame. A frame is like the one helping it to in other words, storing it. So I would delete this frame. I don't need a frame. I can now try to scale it. Previously, that's why it was trying to disturb. When I tried to place it somewhere, it was not really. Sorry about that. Okay, I think this is now, I've put in white color. So this would be our logo. The other items, adding it is very simple. Click on text, go and click where you want to add, type the information. You can even proceed to reduce the size. Reduce the size accordingly. Yes, sir. In case I want to create other items, how do I create them? Still, I can click on this, long press the Alt, then drag it out accordingly. So please duplicate this item using any suggestion. Either you right click, copy, paste, or drag them out. Don't worry about the size. Rename them to the way you want, maybe about us. I can have this to be blog. Then I can have this to be contact us. Now, how do I resize them? To resize them, please select all of them. How do you select all of them? Click on the first, hold down Shift key, select all the other items. And the beauty with the Figma, whenever you select all of them, there's this icon which will appear, which is helpful for tidying. So you can select all of them, go and put them in the center. You can even arrange them So after you have grouped them, you can now probably, we've not yet grouped them. You can select all of them, right click, and then select a group. Right click and then put group selection, or you can press Ctrl G and now you can move them together. So you realize adding this is very simple. The same to the second section. You can try to click on the shape still, drag it because this is still part of the header. Drag it there. When you've drawn you can proceed to fill in a color of your choice. I don't know why this rectangle, the colors here. Let me try this color. I don't want to use that very same color. Just for consistency. Allow me use it. Now I can proceed to put here some page title. Remember this image, according to this sketch, would want to have an image in the background, then about us, then a breadcrumb. So still, you can duplicate the same image. Don't again go back to icon finder, copy the image. You can simply drag this image, put it here. How am I dragging it? I am simply right clicking. I can right click on this, select copy, and then I come here and then click paste it here. So once I've put the image, the next thing is for you to put a title. Still, I'm going to click on the text tool and then come and click here and put about us. Once you've put about us, this is going to be the page title, so you can enlarge it. To enlarge it, I've told you, click on scale tool and then drag it. And once you've dragged, you can either put it on this and then make the picture to be the background with some overlay, or I can just simply put it here. Then I can proceed to some other content. How do I create this content now here? Please, it is the same thing, very simple. I can now proceed to my, I think for now, if you are following, I can remove the guides. So I'm going to click on frame and we remove the guides. Otherwise, the guides will disturb us unless we are going to remove. They would help us in most cases when we are creating these containers, when we are creating sections, to see that we balance them according to our preference. How do I add text? It's the most important thing. When adding text, there are two ways of adding text. One, you can add text when it is just going to be online. For example, if I just click, automatically that would mean I'm typing a line of text. But in case you have long text to write, maybe you want a frame for the text, then you click on the text tool and then come and drag. You drag. So in case you drag a section, automatically they will try to create for you a container where this text is going to follow. For wireframing, we normally use Lorem Ipsum. Lorem Ipsum, we have got a website which you can navigate having Lorem Ipsum. In Google, you simply write Lorem Ipsum, because if you check on my wireframe, I'm using some Lorem Ipsum text. So you can also proceed to Google, write Lorem Ipsum, and then navigate to Lorem Ipsum website. So this is their website, just as it loads. It is lipsum.com. So from this website of Lolem Ipsum, you can now copy the content that you want to use from it. Of course, here, what did I do here? Just a little bit here. I can proceed. All right. I can proceed to copy some content, little content here. Control C. And I proceed to my sketch and I put in content. Later, you can highlight and then try to reduce the size. On the extreme right are tools for reducing size. Colleagues, I would encourage you to later practice this thing out. I reduce this to be very, very small font, maybe 12, maybe 14. So later we can create fonts or we can create a design system to use for our fonts. But I think this is just a simple sketch to use. Again, on my, this is going to be like the section having who we are. We can proceed to create this other section. This is image and then some text on the right. Let me hope you have the picture, you have the idea on how we do wireframing. I'm going to complete this quickly within 5, then we'll spend the other few minutes trying to implement it. So I'm going to use a shape still. Click on the rectangle, draw a shape. And the choice of laying it depends on your choice. The decision of laying it depends on your choice. Maybe you want to leave some space from the margin like you saw. Immediately after the header, you want to create some space where the content should end. Still, you're the one to decide accordingly as the person who is wireframing. What is important is that whatever the wireframe looks like is also how the content is going to look like on your website. So you have to be very, very keen when you are doing it. So I've drawn some shape here, a rectangular shape. I'm just going to fill a gray color and I'm going to copy this image, right click copy, then right click here, paste here. This container will have a picture. And then on my extreme right, I want to have another container, but this one is going to have text. So how do I do that? I can choose to simply click once to put a heading. Every time you click the text tool and click once, it means you're going to create an inline heading. So maybe let us try to make this heading to be our mission. And I'm going to highlight it, try to increase the size a little bit here. Okay. When I'm done, that will be okay. Then the next thing is Lolem Ipsum. So I can click on this, right click, copy, come here, right click, and select paste. And then now drag it wherever I want to be. Then later I can resize it to fit. How do I resize? I simply look for where this one ends and I drag it to fit accordingly. So probably I can add some button somewhere, maybe learn more. To add a button, still you use a shape. Click on the shape, come and draw. And when you have drawn the shape, fill a color, click on fill. You can either choose the eyedropper and consistently use the same color. And when you draw shapes, there are tools to control the shape. Probably in case you want to change the corners, maybe you want to add some radius around, making it rounded corners. So you can always click on the shape among the properties here, go where there's corner radius, put some radius. So the next thing is I want us to place text on it. So I'm going to right click on mission, click on copy, come here, select paste here, drag it inside, click on text and drag it inside. I can even use the arrow keys to move around this. And then next is to click inside, probably double click inside to change the text inside and probably type learn more. When you're done, highlight and change the color. Scroll down, change the color to probably white color. Yeah, for ease in reading. Yeah? Now, this process normally takes time, but I've shown you templates. In case you don't want to spend a lot of time designing, please consider using the templates from the community. I know all of us, most cases, use the templates because we want to support people who have already made, but we also don't want to waste time. Usually there are two roles. We have people they call web designers and web developers. This course is building the web developers, people who set up the really who build websites. But people who build wireframes or create website structure are known as web designers, or we can call them UI and UX designer. That is UI for user interface and UX for user experience. Now, how do we implement our design? I'm cutting the video shorts to allow us see the process of implementing a design in WordPress. Once you have finished your mockup or you have finished your wireframe, the next thing is for you to implement that design. To implement the design, you go to your site editor, go to appearance, and then try to match the head and footer with your wireframe. You can also match the home page with the wireframe. For other contents, which is not in the header and the footer or in the templates, we use Gutenberg. That is to create columns or add content and so forth. Normally, we align with wireframing. For the menu, when we are creating a menu, still we proceed to the header. And every time we are designing, we have to be responsive. There are plugins. So quickly, let me try to go to my website, and we have some quick practical here on how we can edit our page, about us page, in a few minutes, I think 15. So to edit, of course, last time I told you once already you are logged in, you can always click edit site to edit the template. So in case we needed to edit the template like the header, the title, and other information, we click edit site. But where we want to edit the contents of the page, we select what? Edit page. So once we click edit page, to add this content here, we have to follow the wireframe we have made. According to the wireframe, just to switch to the section, so we can use this very one. According to the wireframe, we already have the header and we already have the title, which are visible here in our case. On the front end, you have seen the header and footer is there. So we are not going to design that. I can just open this in a new tab as a reference. So this is page title already visible in the wireframe. So we are not going to edit this title. If we wanted to edit it by including an image, then that would mean we are switching to edit site. Let's just focus on how we would create such content. As an example, create this out and then create this other one. Like I told you, to achieve something quickly, I already prepared some content. I want us to have a section like who we are. So I've just copied this content. I'll proceed to my web page here and the about us. So by default, Gutenberg, which we are using under full site edit, has already selected for us a paragraph, meaning you can paste your content there. That is where you want to use it accordingly. For that case, I'll just leave that who we are. But I want to focus on the other content which comes up. Normally, there's a plus sign here, which you can use to search for any particular widget or element. You can even use the forward slash, probably if you already know what you are searching for. Or if you don't use the forward slash, you can always click on the toggle or block inserter. So there will be so many blocks you can choose from. There is a simple layout here. And on the layout, we simply have content. And this content is a paragraph. You can even make it a row because by default, a paragraph is like a row. So some people will simply come here and then click the forward slash, then look for row. Or they can simply just paste the content. If you are aiming to achieve one line or one paragraph or one block thing, so there is nothing to worry. Let me try to type in row and you see how it happens. So if I click row, it means you can paste your content here and later we can make it to span 100%. Let me use that in the next section. I'll just copy my content here according to the sketch, the way it is, and then I paste it here. So nothing much, still the same thing we've always done, but at least the layout has guided that I need the paragraph, which just introduces something about us. Below the paragraph, I now have this part. We need this design. We need to have an image on the right, rather on the left, and then we need to have content on the right. So to achieve such a design, I click at the extreme end and I press enter to create a new line. If you don't use that, then you can always use the document overview. Normally, there's a document overview here which summarizes all your items you have on the website. So if you're using the document overview here, you can click on the paragraph, click on these dots, and select add after. The same thing when you click at the extreme end, and then you press enter. So our point of interest is to select either a row or a column. We can try both and you see the difference. But I would choose to first select a column and probably want 2 columns because according to this sketch, if you can see, we want to have 2 columns, one column having the picture and then the other column having what? Having the content, which is the mission and learn more. So what you do, I have added a column. The shortcut is you can just always click on the plus sign as well and then type in columns. Click on columns. Now, this window will appear. Select the number of columns you want to put. I will select 2 columns, so that is 50%, 50%. So how do I add the image? To add the image, I click on the plus sign in one of the columns and again search for image. Then I can either upload the image, I'll go to media library and select on one of the image here. That is my image added, no formatting yet. So when the column is done, you can click on the extreme right. Remember, in the extreme right, we want to add this content. We want to have the mission and then some paragraph and then learn more. To achieve that, click on the plus sign, select a heading because we need a heading to be our mission. You can press enter to create another because every time you've created an element, you can just press enter to create another element, or you can use the document overview, click on the extreme end and select add after. So if I can go back here, close, let me collapse this out. And our mission, still I'll proceed to my document here, find the mission, copy it, Control C, come here, press Control V to paste. About the button, if I want another button for learn more, still I press enter to go the new line, click the forward slash to search for button, or still you can go and click the plus sign and search for button. So when you click on button, the next thing is you put learn more. Probably what is important is we normally click on this button like this, click on hyperlink, and search for the page you want to hyperlink to. Uh, which page are we going to hyperlink? Because we are still on the About Us. Uh, we can have sub-menus for mission and vision, but for now, I'll just leave it there. But you can always click on the button, click on link, and then type there the hyperlink. Later, we'll look at other features you can add on this image, because you can always click on the image. Later, you proceed to features like style. You can add the corner radius around the picture in case you want. Like for my case, I can add some corner radius 5. That is to introduce some curves around the pictures. Those features, we'll look at them later. When you're designing, please make sure you always switch to check how it's going to look on mobile. Because whenever you want to switch, you click on this dot under the toolbar here, select tablet, select desktop, see how it's looking on different devices, because we recommended what? Responsiveness. I would follow the same procedure, but before I end it here, allow me show you the document overview here. There is something which is very important whenever we are creating these elements. Remember, if this is the same thing, if maybe I'm creating, remember this was mission. Let me reduce it up that point and you see. If I click the document overview, I will have all the elements on my web page displayed. So it's important that you always group related elements together. How do you group the elements? I can select the columns, then I come and select all this content. I can select this content. How am I selecting? I'm clicking the paragraph, holding Shift key, and then selecting all the other content. So if this content is the same, please select it, right click on it, and select group. And when you've created a group, you can even change the name. You can right click, rename it, and maybe put some statement and say who we are or our mission. It's important that as you create items, you highlight them together, the ones that are related, right click, and then select group. Putting them together is very key. It can help us to control padding, control margins. Like later next week, I'll be showcasing to you several things. Our time is really fast spent. I would follow the same procedure to implement my other design here, because if you look at it, things are the same. This is a paragraph, this is a column, this is have this column of 2 sections, this is also a column. How about this one? This one, if I'm creating such, I would have a row, and then this will be put together later as a group. This is a paragraph, an image, and then now we have what? We have a button at the extreme end, form input button. Later, next week, we'll be building page by page, and already we'll have covered already this, so we'll have to spend or use our time to look at what? To look at how we add content. If you would allow, I will demonstrate something here also on the contact page. Our time has already elapsed. Let me view this page in a browser and you have a look at it. Before I view, I click save, and then I come on this other page and I click refresh. If I refresh, you see my content is here, but it's just lacking somewhat some organization. How is it lacking organization? According to this column, you can see they are not on the same line. I don't know. Let's first look at our sketch here. In our sketch, we want them to be on the same line. want this to start on the same line with the other one. How do you achieve that? To achieve that, you go back to your design, click on this. Let me look at the, did we, we didn't put it in the group here. I'm first going to ungroup them. I'll click on this paragraph. So if I click on the paragraph, let me first save this and check on the new page, see how it's looking like. So when grouping items, group items that are rated, remember this column is not the same as this. This is a paragraph, and this one's a column. What you can only do in a design, probably the column, so far it is only one. Maybe I can give it a group. I can right click and group it because it is the same thing, and then rename it to be our mission. In case you want to create the one for vision, I don't expect you to see again coming here, select columns. You can just duplicate this one. To duplicate this, you simply right click on it and select duplicate. Duplicate can allow you to create similar sections. So later I can change. Let me look at the layout. In the layout, are they on the same line? Let's check here. No, they are not on the same line. So how do you make them switch? It's also simple. In case you wanted to switch them on the design, you again proceed to your About Us page. Like in our case, the image is in the first column and the other column is having content. If you want to make them switch, there are two ways. You can either switch them from here by simply dragging them, or you can come to the document overview here, identify that group where the columns are, expand them, and then drag the other column to be on top. It is simple. Simply drag the columns to interchange to see that the column with the other content begins first. So you can proceed to copy the other content, say our vision. I can copy this out, come and paste it here, Control V, and then I put in our vision. So this process, maybe I can even change the group. I can double click on this to rename, or right click, select rename, and then from our vision, I change this group to our vision. What's important, please always group items and items that are rated so that you can control them later properly or at once. Let me try to refresh on the front end. Yeah, it's now appearing well. All right. Unless there's a person having a question, this has been an intro about wireframing. Let's leverage the use of templates. Come back to Gutenberg, try to create the individual pages. Later, at least we'll have to go in details because part of our time was exploring templates and going over the tools. Can I have people have questions ask and for clarity? Yes, Collins, your microphone is open, comrade. Teacher Colin? Okay. Is any person having a question? All right. So if there's no question, members, I want you to go and try out Figma. Look for templates. First, try over the tools, see whether you can make some simple sketch, practice, and then later you can try to search for a template. And with a good About Us page, proceed. Because each one of us should have something in the local that we are building on. For me, in the local, at least I'm continuing with this site reading room. Last week, when we looked at colors, I looked for a palette which suits my appearance or my impression, and I chose this palette. I expect you to have installed WordPress Studio, and also I expect you to have as well gone ahead to create other pages, and then later add a theme of your choice. Then now today, I expect you to edit the header, edit the footer, proceed and create one page of About Us. How? Use any wireframe of your choice, copy any layout of your choice, and try to implement something of the kind. So there's no question.
All right.
Yes, madam. Mm.
Yeah, not question. I'm just saying it's all right. We shall practice it as possible because I can see it's a very important tool to actually embrace.
Thank you.
Because I think most people just do things for the sake of copying and pasting. Like now, the other content that you had prepared, some other person just gets it and paste it. And just copy it and paste it there and continue without any kind of design. Yeah,
Okay.
but now with this, I think we shall be better developers. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, guys, I'll stop here for today. I wish you a good evening. Let me know if you need any personal support. I will always connect with you to support you. Feel free to seek consultations where you need clarity. Let me look at your web page. You're free to take a screenshot of what you have done and paste in the group. Twagala tulabeko your home page, some screenshot, and then the About Us page later you have done. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening. Can we just have a volunteer to lead us in a prayer?
Okay, let's humble ourselves and we get to close up. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for bringing us this far. From the time that we began up to now that we are ending our session, we pray that whatever we have learned sticks into our minds, and we pray that next time as we join, that we still memorize what we have covered today. We also pray for the tutor who has covered for us this lengthy topic on the dedicative session. We pray that you give him guidance, more wisdom and knowledge, that as he prepares for the next lesson, he's fit as today. And we pray for all the members that may there not be challenges that may make them not join the session, because it's really so quite interesting that everyone should have this knowledge. And we pray for those who have not joined today that next time, may you make them possible that they can join, and so that we can continue with the lessons all together. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay, bye, members. Let's meet tomorrow to wrap up the week with how we can use AI to create color swatches, color palettes, to look for content and probably compile a reference documents. So tomorrow we wrap up the week. All right.